Hey everyone, excited to be back for this week's edition of Frequently Asked Questions for Commercial Real Estate. In today's video, what I thought I'd do is talk about a concept that's very common in commercial real estate, in particular if you're leasing commercial property, and that is what's known as a tenant improvement allowance. Now, before we dive in this video and explain exactly what that means and how you can incorporate it into your lease negotiations, I would really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe to this channel. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm and ensures more and more people can find this information and benefit from the value that we provide on this channel. So, now that you've already liked this video and subscribed and maybe even drop a comment in this video as far as what you've learned from it, let's go ahead and dive right in. So, to start out, what is tenant improvement? Well, a tenant improvement allowance, as it's typically referred to, is an allocation made by the landlord towards the renovation of the interior of a space. Now, the reason this is pertinent is because in a lot of scenarios, if you enter a space, it may not exactly fit your use. So in order to limit the amount of cash outflow that you have to incorporate into the space to get it ready for your use, sometimes landlords give you an allocation of money that you can use towards renovating the space to fit your use. Now, this is typically quoted on a per square foot basis. So for example, let's say you're occupying 5,000 square foot of space, and the landlord would say, okay, we'll give you $5 per square foot in tenant improvement allowance. What you do is take the 5,000 square feet that you're gonna rent, multiply that by $5, and you get $25,000 in tenant improvement allowance. That means that every dollar you spend below that amount will be reimbursed to you by the landlord. So that could be a big incentive for tenants to be able to occupy that space for a longer period of time. Now, when it comes to negotiating for tenant improvement allowances, there's a few things you have to really take into consideration. First is that the landlords most likely are going to want a longer term lease and a tenant that is actually stable and financially sound. So if you are a financially sound tenant, you're willing to sign a 3, 5, maybe a 10-year lease, there's more room for negotiation as it pertains to tenant improvements because the landlord knows that they're going to be able to recoup that money over an extended period of time. Now, another thing to consider when you're talking about tenant improvements is that you want to make sure that the way that the distributions are made are referenced within the lease agreement. Typically what happens is when you do get a tenant improvement allowance, the landlord will reimburse you after you've already made all the improvements. So that would mean that you'd have to have a cash outflow to be able to modify the space to your needs. And then at the end, you would submit all the receipts and whatever the quotes were. And then the tenant or the landlord would reimburse you the amount that they've allocated towards tenant improvements. Now, you may be able to negotiate with the landlord to say, look, if we can, instead of me coming out of pocket for all the renovations at once, maybe there's a way they can have, 4 or 5 distributions throughout the course of the renovations so that you're not coming significantly out of pocket each and every time. Therefore, you can maintain solid cash flows from the start of the renovations to the beginning of your actual business operations, because most likely throughout that time of renovations, you're not going to be making a significant amount of money and there's not going to be a solid amount of cash flow going through your business. So those are some of the recommendations that are made, especially related to negotiating for tenant improvement allowances. I hope you gained some value from this video. If you do like this channel, again, we really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm and ensures more and more people can hear this message. Along with that, if you're in the Louisville area and you're looking to buy, sell, or lease commercial property, feel free to reach out to me. I'm a commercial real estate agent in town. My number is 502-536-7315, or you can reach me via email at Raphael@grisantigroup.com. All right, well, you guys have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next time.